Hey everybody, McNeil here. So, like I said in the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer reaction video that I uploaded today, I'm going to do a more in-depth analysis right now of this trailer. I have so many new theories that came out of just this 2.5 minute trailer they posted online out of nowhere this morning, guys. You gave me no warning. I literally only had an hour to mentally prepare myself for this, and then the rest of my day was shot because I was coming up with all these different theories because I'm a crazy person. So this was a lot of new information to process, and please do not mind me if I look off camera in this because I have my laptop out right now with 4 pages of notes just about this one goddamn movie. Joss Whedon, what have you done to me? Alright, so first up, we start off with this ominous view of what appears to be an abandoned castle or a fortress of some sort. Now, this image has been pretty consistent throughout all of the Age of Ultron trailers up until this point, but we really don't have a sense of what this place might be. Popular fan theory suggests that this could either be Ultron's hideout throughout the entirety of the film, or another theory suggests that this could be Wundagore Mountain, which, in the Marvel Comics universe, is located right outside of the fictional town of Transia, which is nestled between Romania and Serbia, and is the home country land of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, 2 new heroes who we are going to meet in Age of Ultron. Now, I never thought that they would go the Wundagore Mountain route, mostly because they couldn't write in that Magneto is the father of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, since there's that whole rights issue between Fox and Marvel Entertainment, but it turns out this location is going to be a hybrid of those 2 fan theories. You see, in the post-credit scene for Captain America Winter Soldier, you'll remember a sort of military-looking base where Baron Strucker was experimenting on some volunteers that he had rounded up to create what he had called miracles using Loki's staff. If any of you were able to pick up the Age of Ultron prelude comic, this Sceptered Isle, you would know by now that this base is actually located in the fictional territory of Sokovia, which, as it turns out, is the homeland of Pietro and Wanda, aka Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Sokovia is a country in Eastern Europe nestled between Serbia and Romania. So the current headcanon I have going on right now is that Ultron is going to use the twins to help eradicate the Avengers and the human race, and then will probably end up turning on them, which the twins are going to get wind of by the end of the film and decide to switch sides because they realize that it's better to fight on the side of good than fight on the side of evil and probably die anyway. And it makes sense for Ultron to want to hole up there, because what better place to create an army of sentient killer robots than in an unknown country in the middle of Eastern Europe? Looking at you, Dr. Doom. The next big eyebrow raise in this trailer comes at about the 20-second mark. Who the fuck is this blonde woman, and why is she here? Is this another waitress situation where you make us think that a featured extra is going to play a more important role in the main story, and then all of a sudden just cut her scenes and leave them for the DVD? Or could this supermarket customer actually be somewhat of importance? The popular fan theory right now is this is actually a pre-Captain Marvel Carol Danvers, but I refuse to believe that Marvel is going to introduce one of their first solo female superheroes in just a 3-second clip of a trailer. My guess is that she's actually a fellow citizen of Sokovia, and what she's witnessing right now when she's looking out of the window of the supermarket is the initial destruction of her city. You can clearly see a fire in the distance in the reflection of the window, and this shot is quickly followed by shots of just complete and utter destruction of this country. Now, why do I think that a lot of the battle is going to happen in the city of Sokovia? Well, if you slow down some of these clips, you can clearly see that the writing on the storefronts of these buildings that are crumbling around the Avengers is written in Serbian. My guess is that she shares some sort of connection with these super twins, whether she knew them from the past, maybe she's a relative of theirs. Now, this is gonna go a little bit against what I said, but hear me out. Marvel is known for introducing some major characters just early on in their trailers without any explanation of who they are. I mean, we saw Andy Serkis, who is confirmed to be Ulysses Klaue, who I'm also going to get to in a little bit. We had Claudia Kim. We saw her in the background of the initial party sequence when Ultron barges in, but we don't know a lot about her character right now. And now we have this mysterious woman in a cave from the last trailer, who I'm also going to touch on in a little bit, that we have no idea who these people are, but they are going to end up playing key roles in this movie. But I really don't think that it's going to be Carol Danvers. I mean, could you imagine the internet outcry that would ensue if that was Carol and that's all we saw of her throughout the entire movie? I'm sure Marvel has a good reason of inserting that clip and keeping it under wraps, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that that is not Carol Danvers, because I'm still hoping for Natalie Dormer. Now, the next big moment in this trailer that had fans screaming was the revelation that yes, Tony Stark is indeed to blame for the creation of Ultron, as he confides this in his fellow science bro, Bruce Banner. Now, in the comics, it's actually Hank Pym who created the Ultron technology, but we're not going to get to see him until Ant-Man, and it's going to be a much older version of Hank. Now, that's not to say that Pym's influence isn't going to be felt throughout the Age of Ultron. If you picked up the Ant-Man Prelude comic, you see that Howard Stark, aka Tony Stark's dad, and Peggy Carter, aka Captain America's first love, have teamed up with Hank Pym to deal with a situation in East Berlin where they need his Ant-Man suit to infiltrate Hydra. Now, it wouldn't be too far off to assume that Tony is working off designs that his father Howard had co-conceived with Pym while working together on S.H.I.E.L.D. to create an army of robotic cops. My theory is that Hank Pym is indeed responsible for the creation of Ultron, but only by extension. Now let's skip ahead in this trailer to some almost throwaway shots of Hawkeye and his fellow Avengers running through a snowy forest, and then Captain America entering what looks like a shipyard in a foreign nation. Now, we know that the movie is going to take the Avengers on a global mission, but where exactly are they all headed? Now, geographically speaking, it wouldn't be too far off to assume that the winter wonderland that they're currently battling in is a forest right outside of Serbia. I mean, what's not to say that this is our team's initial descent into Sokovia? But let's focus on Captain America now. This is a quick clip that most fans aren't going to pay attention to, but if you pause it at just the right moment, you get a bigger view of the overall picture. Cap is overlooking a new territory and surveying the scene. And if you look in the upper left-hand corner of this picture, you're going to see some futuristic dome-like buildings in the foreground and some more towers behind them and mountains behind that. But these mountains are drastically different than the snow-capped mountains we saw at the beginning of the trailer, you know, possibly the ones outside of Serbia. But these mountains that Cap is looking at are kind of dry and rocky and appear to be almost in a warmer climate. Maybe Cap is a little bit closer to the equator. Perhaps Africa? Maybe a little north of Tanzania? Perhaps in the fictional nation of Wakanda? Wakanda is the home of Marvel's upcoming superhero, the Black Panther, aka T'Challa, aka the future king of Wakanda. We know for a fact that the Black Panther is going to make his big screen debut in Captain America: Civil War, so I don't think that we're going to get a glimpse of him in Age of Ultron. But maybe we'll get to meet his father, King T'Challa? But sidebar, what would Captain America even be doing in Wakanda in the first place? Well, one of the most popular fan theories right now is that Cap goes to the African country in search of vibranium, the very material that his shield is made out of, and the only known metal to mankind that can damage Ultron. No, seriously, the trailer even shows Cap's shield damaging the Robo-Terror on what appears to be a fight in a highway in Sokovia. According to the comics though, the vibranium in Wakanda is slightly different than the metal used in Cap's shield. It's also able to absorb a mass amount of kinetic energy. Since Wakanda is the only place on Earth where there is a surplus of vibranium, it would be a great opportunity to use Ultron's ultimate existence to introduce another fictional land into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Other clues that suggest that this theory is totally plausible is the introduction of Andy Serkis' character, Ulysses Klaue. In the comics, Klaue has a deep running connection with both vibranium and by extension Wakanda. And another character that I brought up earlier is the mysterious woman in the cave. Now, this could be one of two different characters. This could either be the Princess of Wakanda, Shuri, or a member of the Dora Milaje. Now, the Dora Milaje are the elite bodyguards charged with the protection of the king, aka the Black Panther. So this woman who is in the cave could be T'Challa's father's bodyguard, who is also charged with guarding the nation of Wakanda. Which, the more I think about it, the more sense it makes, and the more it upsets me how much sense it makes. Okay, so now back to Hawkeye. Most of the clips we've seen so far of him either show him running through the snowy forest alone, or teamed up in the final battle with his fellow Avengers. Now, up until this point, I've been nervous that Clint is going to be distanced from the Avengers, much like the first movie where he's either under some sort of mind control or he gets kidnapped, but now I'm starting to think that his seclusion is self-induced. Now, Clintasha fans have been waiting so patiently to find out what really happened in Budapest, and for these two to cut the shit with this sexual fucking tension and just do it already. But what if something or someone came between them? Now, the first Avengers film had absolutely no romantic subplots, which I was so beyond grateful for, but I think this one is going to introduce a love triangle into the mix, specifically between Hawkeye, Black Widow, and the Hulk. Now, there have been a few clues in previous trailers regarding Hulk Widow, but I think this trailer pretty much confirms that there are going to be some sort of weird thing. And you think that Marvel would be smart enough to give the fans what they want and just give Hawkeye and Black Widow the happy goddamn ending that Clintasha fans deserve. But it's never going to be that easy, especially when it's Joss Whedon at the helm. But I wouldn't give up hope just yet. Ultron also reveals in this trailer that it is his ultimate goal to destroy the Avengers from the inside out. He wants to pit them against each other, and what better way to do it than to mess up the OTP of the Avengers. You know, besides Iron Man and Captain America. We see this in the Hulk versus Iron Man battle while Iron Man is in the Hulkbuster suit, but I'll get to that in just a second. Let's focus on Black Widow. There's a quick shot in this trailer of Scarlet Witch standing behind the Black Widow and working some sort of hoodoo voodoo magic on her. As far as the comics go, Wanda's powers have always been probability based up until she gets a hold of chaos magics, which allow her to alter reality and then make her go crazy, but that's like a whole nother movie right there. But perhaps in this movie, her powers are more persuasive. Kind of like how Hawkeye got possessed with Loki's staff at the beginning of Avengers 1, maybe Scarlet Witch is influencing the Black Widow to pursue a romantic relationship with the Hulk. And she's going to be controlling her like a little puppet. Going along with this "there ain't no strings on me" motif that the Avengers Age of Ultron is trying to shove down our throats. We get it. He's not a puppet. He's of his own free will. Stop it. But that's not to say she's going to be some dead in the eyes, walking around, doing as you say zombie like Hawkeye was in the first movie. Maybe she's going to be thinking that these are ideas of her own. Perhaps the Scarlet Witch realizes that in order to create a rift between Hawkeye and the Avengers, she would have to steer the Black Widow in the general romantic direction of the Hulk. This could, in turn, create a rift between Black Widow and Tony, who is developing a suit of armor to combat the Hulk in the event that he ever gets out of control. Now, if this comes to light and the Hulk ever finds out about this, he is going to lose all trust in Tony Stark, and if Black Widow is aligned with the Hulk, she is also going to lose faith in Iron Man. And maybe under Wanda's influence or the influence of Loki's staff, which I'll get to in just a second, Tony decides to go after the Hulk because he cannot be controlled. This would in turn make Iron Man the odd man out of the group because he is attacking one of their own, even though he is the only person with the proper knowledge to actually defeat Ultron in the end. So Ultron is really just trying to get rid of his biggest threat by making the Black Widow want to sleep with the Hulk. And finally, speaking of defeating Ultron, we finally get to see a glimpse of the Vision. In the comics, the Vision is actually created by Ultron himself, used in a plot against Ultron's own creator, Hank Pym. But in the comics, the Avengers are able to convince the Robosynthesoid to switch sides, and in turn they upload the memories and thought patterns of Wonder Man, who is also a fallen Avenger, and the love interest of Scarlet Witch, into the Vision's body, and it creates this whole weird romantic relationship between a woman and a robot, and then she uses her chaos magics to make like alternate reality bent babies, but then it makes her go crazy, and then she kills the Avengers. But like I said, that's a whole nother movie that I hope we eventually get to. But since Paul Bettany is voicing the Vision in Age of Ultron, and he had previously voiced Jarvis in all 3 Iron Man films, Jarvis, for those of you who can't remember, is Tony Stark's automated butler that kind of like possesses his mansion. I think it's safe to assume that his mansion gets destroyed yet again in this movie, and Tony is able to upload Jarvis's thoughts and memories into the Vision's body, even though the Vision was tasked by Ultron to kill Tony Stark in the first place. And whether or not he ends up doing the nasty with the Scarlet Witch remains to be seen. People have also been speculating that the gem that glows in the middle of the Vision's head is actually the Soul Gem, one of the 6 Infinity Gems needed to wield the Infinity Gauntlet, which is the entire plot of Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and 2. It's speculated that the Soul Gem is what gives the Vision his sentience outside of the Ultron initiative and ultimately allows him to act as sort of a humanoid to the Avengers and join the team. But how do our heroes get a hold of the Soul Gem? The Age of Ultron prelude comic, This Sceptered Isle, that I brought up earlier, kind of gives some clues into that. Popular fan theory suggests that Loki's staff actually contains the Mind Gem, which is how he was able to possess Hawkeye in the first movie, and the Tesseract contains the Space Gem, which is how it was used to create a portal between universes in the first movie as well. And when these 2 objects come in contact with each other in the prelude comic, it is said that the reaction yielded an unquantifiable energy return. In layman's terms, that means the 2 gems are connected, and when they come in contact with each other, they emit a fuck ton of energy. Perhaps in an effort to right his own wrongs, Tony discovers the existence of the Soul Gem and uses Loki's staff to track it down. He then captures one of Ultron's synthezoids and equips it with vibranium and the Soul Gem, making it a sentient being strong enough to destroy its own creator. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. So along with all these potential new plot details, this final trailer for Age of Ultron gives us so many amazing visuals and promises to deliver on the big screen, whether you see it, you know, in 2D, in 3D, in Real D 3D, and IMAX and IMAX 3D. We also get our first clear shot of all 7 Avengers working alongside each other to take down Ultron's army, and we get this sick shot of everyone traveling through the woods together. I mean, that is going to be the best reaction gif ever. If you liked any of the theories I posed here, please leave me a comment below and tell me some of your theories for what's about to happen in this movie. Guys, we are about to be thrown into chaos because this is going to be so good. Like this video if you sat through all of this or just skip to the end to see what I had to say. And until next time, I will catch you later, nerds. Other theories that suggest that Cap is overlooking the futuristic nation of Wakanda. My anaconda don't. My anaconda don't. My anaconda don't.
Want none unless you got buns, hun.